Every night, a lonely taxi driver travels through the streets of New York, silently observing every person who passes by and every disturbing sight unfolding before him. As he grows increasingly disgusted with the city and his own lonely life, a young woman enters his world. For the first time in a long while, it gives him a sense of hope, but through another young girl who has been trapped in the darkness of this city from a very young age. He also begins to discover its darker side. On one hand, he wants to find his way into the life he dreams of. On the other, he starts believing that perhaps he can somehow clean up this rotten city himself. Trapped between these two worlds, his loneliness slowly begins to take a very different form. Without wasting any more time, let's get into the story. A lonely man wanders alone through New York, looking for work, until he arrives at a taxi depot. His name is Travis Bickle. Because of his insomnia, Travis spends his nights aimlessly riding around on buses and subways. So instead of wasting those nights doing nothing, he figures he might as well get paid for it. That's why he decides to become a taxi driver. When the dispatcher asks which routes and which days he is willing to work, Travis says he can work anywhere and on any holiday. Having dealt with plenty of troubled and isolated people before, the dispatcher asks him a few more questions. Travis calmly answers every one of them. He's 26 years old and has no criminal record. There's nothing particularly remarkable about his education, but he served in the U.S. Marines and was honorably discharged. Since the dispatcher is an ex-Marine himself, he decides to give Travis a chance. From this point on, much of the story is seen through Travis's eyes. We see what he witnesses throughout the night, along with the thoughts he writes down in his diary when he gets back home. Every day, Travis works from 6 in the evening until 6 the next morning. Once darkness falls, New York becomes a completely different city. Prostitutes, drug addicts, and all kinds of other characters flood into the darkness of the streets. And whenever Travis sees all of this, he has only one thought. He wishes that one day a great rain would come and wash all the filth of this city away. While the other drivers avoid suspicious passengers in certain areas, Travis has no fear of going anywhere. As long as he gets paid, that's all that matters. But every morning, he has to clean up everything the passengers from the previous night have left behind in the back seat. Sometimes it's the filth left behind by passengers who were with prostitutes. Sometimes there's even blood. And despite working 12 hours through the night, Travis still can't sleep during the day. On his way home, he stops at a theater that only shows adult movies. He tries to speak politely to the girl working at the popcorn counter, but she shows absolutely no interest in him. It is in the middle of this lonely existence. Travis notices a young woman in white. To him, she looks so pure that none of the filth surrounding her could possibly touch her. Her name is Betsy, and she works at the campaign office of Senator Palantine. Inside the office, Betsy is talking to her coworker Tom when she notices the taxi that has been sitting outside her office for hours. When Tom goes outside and asks him to move the taxi, Travis suddenly drives away as if he's been caught doing something wrong. Later, Travis arrives at a restaurant where the other taxi drivers gather during their shifts. There, he meets Wizard, Doughboy, and Charlie. While the men sit around talking about women and other things, Travis is there among them. But he doesn't participate in the conversation. He simply sits quietly and listens. When they ask him how his night is going, Travis's attention is drawn to another man sitting nearby, a black man dressed in expensive clothes and covered in jewelry. Doughboy tells Travis that it would be a good idea to buy a gun for protection while working at night. Travis simply replies that he's a conservative and doesn't need a gun. His attention quickly shifts again, this time to the bubbles rising in his glass. He stares deeply at them as if there's something incredibly important. The next day, Travis is once again watching Betsy when he sees her laughing at Tom's jokes and becoming more friendly with him. The thought of Betsy getting closer to Tom makes Travis uncomfortable. Instead of just standing there watching her, he decides to speak to her directly. Travis walks into the office and approaches Betsy, telling her that he'd like to volunteer for the campaign. When she asks why, Travis simply tells her that Betsy is the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. The compliment clearly makes her a little happy, but Betsy then asks what he thinks about the candidate. He says he knows nothing about politics. Still, she accepts his offer to volunteer. However, Betsy soon realizes that Travis drives a taxi at night and needs to sleep during the day, which means he wouldn't really be able to work at the campaign office. When she asks what he actually wants, Travis asks if she'd like to have coffee with him. He tells her that he's been watching her for several days and that she seems like someone who has no real interest in her job or the people around her, someone who is just as lonely as he is. Travis says that from the moment he walked into that office, he realized she needed a friend and that he could be that person. Betsy is intrigued by his straightforward approach and agrees to have coffee with him. When they sit down at a nearby coffee shop, their conversation is extremely awkward. After telling Betsy that she has beautiful eyes, he immediately asks about her relationship with Tom. Even after Betsy explains that Tom is just her friend and coworker, Travis doesn't let it go. He insists that there isn't even a spark between her and Tom. He then tells her that from the moment he walked into that office, he was certain that there was a connection between them. That's why, despite normally never approaching people, he found the courage to walk straight up to her and start talking. When he asks if she felt the same connection, Betsy replies that if she hadn't, she wouldn't have agreed to have coffee with him. But Travis's attention keeps drifting back to Tom. He says he doesn't like him and believes Tom doesn't respect Betsy enough. His behavior reminded Betsy of a song lyric. He's a prophet and a pusher, partly truth, partly fiction. A walking contradiction. Overall, their first meeting doesn't go particularly well, but Betsy still agrees to go see a movie with Travis the next day. That same night, while Travis is working, the passenger who gets into his taxi turns out to be none other than Senator Palantine himself. The moment he recognizes him, Travis claims to be a huge supporter. He says he tells everyone who gets into his taxi to vote for Palantine, and even wanted to put a "Vote for Palantine" sticker inside the cab, but couldn't because of company rules. None of this is true. When Palantine asks what bothers him most about the country, he says the next president needs to be someone who can wash away all the filth and the bad people in this city. Palantine says he understands his point, but admits that it won't be easy. It would take some truly radical changes. Later that night, Travis gets another passenger, a young girl who runs into the taxi in a panic and begs him to drive away as quickly as possible. But suddenly, a man runs after her and pulls her out of the cab. As she struggles to escape his grip, the man throws $20 at Travis and tells him to forget what he saw. The next day, Travis arrives for his second date with Betsy. He has even brought along a copy of the song she mentioned. Everything starts off well, but the place Travis chooses to take her for the movie immediately makes Betsy uncomfortable. He has brought her to a theater that shows adult films. When Betsy asks if it's a dirty movie, Travis tells her that it's just a Swedish film and that couples often come here to watch them. Trusting what he says, Betsy goes inside with him. But the movie being shown is indeed an explicit film, and around her are men sitting with prostitutes watching the movie. Betsy becomes furious that Travis brought her to a place like this and immediately walks out. Travis apologizes, saying that he doesn't know much about films and genuinely thought this is the type of movie people goes on dates. He tries to stop Betsy, offering to take her somewhere else, but she tells him she doesn't even want to talk to him anymore. Travis later calls her and apologizes again. But after that one phone call, Betsy doesn't answer any of his calls in the days that follow. All the flowers he sends are returned. In his diary, Travis writes that he can't stand the rotten smell of those flowers. One day, he loses his patience. He walks straight into the campaign office and angrily demands to know why Betsy isn't answering his calls. He tells her that she's just like everyone else, and like the rest of them, she will go to hell as well. When Tom threatens to call the police, Travis finally leaves the office. One night, a passenger gets into his taxi and asks him to stop near an apartment building. Pointing toward one of the windows, the man says the woman standing inside is his wife. But the apartment isn't his. She's there with another man. The passenger then starts describing how he's going to kill her with the .44 Magnum revolver he has with him. He even talks about how beautiful the damage will look when he shoots her in the face. Travis listens to all of this in complete silence. We don't know whether that man actually killed his wife or not. Later, Travis goes into a restaurant and pulls Wizard aside, trying to tell him what's been going on inside his head. Travis admits that he's been having some bad ideas, and that sometimes he feels like he can't control himself. He doesn't even know what's happening to him. Wizard advises him that he's still young and should enjoy his life. He tells Travis to go out, socialize with people, and stop isolating himself. Travis's response is that this is the dumbest advice he's ever heard. After returning home, Travis watches an interview with Palantine. The senator talks about his ideas for the country and how people are finally starting to wake up, just as he had hoped. Travis still occasionally drives past the campaign office, hoping to catch a glimpse of Betsy. Then, one night, Travis unexpectedly sees the same young girl who had previously tried to escape in his taxi. As she walks down the street, he slowly follows her in his cab. When she approaches two men with another girl, Travis realizes that she is a prostitute. Furious at what he sees, he drives away. Over the next few days, the restlessness inside Travis grows stronger. In his diary, he writes about how completely isolated he has become and how he sees no way out of it. Inside his room, we can see two posters. One is supporting Palantine, while the other is a humorous poster about organizing. Poster Travis had jokingly said he would buy during his first date with Betsy. He writes that his days have become one endless routine, with every day blending into the next until he can barely tell them apart. The following day, he goes to meet a man named Easy Andy. He is an illegal guns dealer. Travis tells him he's looking for a .44 Magnum, the same revolver the passenger who talked about killing his wife had mentioned. Andy explains that it has enough power to kill an elephant with a single shot. He then shows Travis a smaller .38 revolver, explaining that it's easier to carry. He also shows some automatics, including a Colt 25 and a German Walther 38. After examining all the guns, Travis finally decides to buy 4 of them. Despite seeing this suspicious-looking man buying so many guns at once, Andy asks if he wants any drugs as well. He starts listing one drug after another, but Travis rejects all of them, because Travis has a completely different plan in mind. He now wants to take control of his own body. He says that sitting in a taxi all day has made his body soft, so he starts following an intense exercise routine. At one point, he even holds his forearm over a flame. He believes he needs to train his body to get used to pain. Along with that, he starts going to a shooting range for target practice. In front of his mirror, he practices quickly drawing his gun while talking to his own reflection. He modifies a desk drawer so that he can hide a gun inside it and pull it out instantly. He also tapes a large knife to the side of his boot. Finally, he takes a single bullet, carves a symbol into it, and sets it aside as if it has been specially prepared for someone. Once all his preparations are complete, Travis heads straight to one of Palantine's rallies. He approaches the security detail and tries to copy the way he stands. He asks whether the man is a Secret Service agent and starts asking how one can get that job. Travis tells him about his time in the U.S. Marines and claims that he's good at observing people. He then starts asking the agent about the guns he uses. Something about Travis's questions makes the agent suspicious, so he asks Travis for his name and address. The agent says he'll send him all the information about joining the Secret Service. Realizing that he's attracted too much attention, Travis gives him fake information and slowly walks away. As he leaves, the agent asks a photographer to take a picture of Travis. But Palantine arrives at that exact moment, and in the confusion of the crowd, Travis quickly disappears. Even after returning home, his training continues. Standing in front of the mirror, he talks to his own reflection as if he's confronting an enemy. He convinces himself that he's someone who can no longer tolerate the filth of this city. He's tired of all the scum polluting the streets, and now he is finally going to take action against them. In front of the mirror, Travis is creating an entirely new version of himself.
You talking to me? You talking to me? Who the f*** do you think you're talking to?
One day, Travis happens to be inside a convenience store when a man walks in and tries to rob the place with a gun. Travis slowly moves behind him and shoots him down. Since Travis doesn't have a permit to carry a gun, he becomes worried that he's going to get into trouble. But the store owner takes the gun and tells him he'll handle it. After returning home, Travis watches a couple dancing on television while holding one of his guns. As everyone around him seems to be enjoying their lives, Travis sits there gripping a gun tightly, once again staring into his own loneliness. He continues keeping a close eye on how Palantine's campaign is progressing every day. At the same time, he writes a letter to his parents. He apologizes for not being able to come home and claims that he's now secretly working for the government. He tells them that he's in good health and making good money. He also lies that he's been in a relationship with a girl for the past 7 months and that he'll introduce her to them someday. Travis's mental state continues to deteriorate every day. While watching a movie, he sees a scene where a woman leaves her husband. Suddenly enraged, he shoves the television onto the floor. That same night, Travis goes looking for the young girl who had previously tried to escape in his taxi. Amid all his frustration with his own life, he becomes determined to at least save this girl from the terrible life she's trapped in. When Travis tries to talk to her, she assumes he's a customer and tells him that if he's interested, he should speak to her pimp, Matthew. Matthew is the same man who had grabbed her and dragged her out of Travis's taxi that night. After making sure Travis isn't a cop, Matthew speaks about Iris in a degrading way. He tells Travis how young she is and how much money it would cost to spend time with her. Travis then goes with Iris to a small hotel room. The manager tells Travis that he's keeping track of exactly how much time he's paid for. Travis enters the room looking confused, and Iris tells him that they only have 15 minutes, so he should get started. But Travis refuses. Instead, he tries to find out who she really is. After asking her name several times, she finally tells him, Iris. When she starts taking off her clothes, Travis stops her and explains that he only came there to talk. He asks if she remembers the night she got into his taxi. Travis admits that he couldn't save her that night, but says that now he can help her get out of this life. Iris doesn't take him seriously and tries to continue with what she thinks he came there for. Travis stops her again and asks why she no longer wants to escape when she clearly wanted to get away that night. She says she can quit the job and leave whenever she wants, but she has nowhere else to go, so Matthew is the one taking care of her. Iris thanks Travis for being concerned about her and agrees to meet him again the next day. But this time, they'll meet for breakfast instead. Travis pays the hotel manager $10 for the room and tells him he'll come back one day. The following morning, Iris begins telling Travis more about her life over breakfast. She tells Travis that she doesn't want to go back home because her parents hate her. But Travis tells her that the life she's living now is a kind of hell. He urges her to leave this life behind, go home, return to school, and live a normal life with people her own age. He tells her that she's wasting her life working for people like Matthew. But Iris is too immature to understand what he's saying. She defends Matthew, insisting that he's actually a good person and has never even hit her. She keeps repeating that she can leave whenever she wants. Travis tells her that it's not that simple. She makes money for them, so if she leaves, they'll come looking for her. People like Matthew are some of the lowest and most disgusting people in the world, and he can't allow them to keep using Iris and other girls like this. Someone has to do something. Travis also tells her about the horrible things Matthew said about her when he came to see her the previous day. Hearing this, Iris finally seems to understand the reality of her situation, at least for a moment. If she leaves this life, Iris says she wants to go live in a commune. A commune is a kind of hippie community where young people live together. Iris even invites Travis to come with her, but Travis says he can't do that because he has some important work to do for the government. He even claims that he's actually working as an undercover cop. Iris laughs at his lie. Travis tells her that he'll give her enough money to escape, and the two of them go their separate ways. Later, Iris returns to Matthew and tells him that she wants to leave this life. But Matthew immediately puts on another act. He starts emotionally manipulating her, telling her how much he loves her and how lucky he is to have someone like her by his side. Iris falls for his performance and decides to stay. Meanwhile, Travis moves on to the final preparations for what he considers his grand mission. He burns all the flowers he had once bought for Betsy. Then he writes a letter to Iris and puts money inside it so she can escape. He also writes that by the time she reads the letter, he will probably be dead. In his diary, Travis writes that his entire life has been moving toward a predetermined destination, and that, in reality, he never had another choice. Travis heads to Palatine's rally. He has now shaved his head and given himself a mohawk. He sees Palatine as a representative of a system that has failed to wipe out the city's worst elements. So his first plan is to assassinate him. After the speech, Palatine begins walking away. Travis approaches him, but the moment he starts reaching for his gun, the Secret Service agent he encountered earlier notices him. Realizing that his plan has failed, Travis has no choice but to run. But that doesn't mean his mission is over. He still has a second target, the people like Matthew who exploit young girls. Travis heads straight to the building where Iris works. With his new appearance, Matthew doesn't recognize him. When Travis asks where Iris is, Matthew denies knowing anyone by that name. The conversation gradually becomes heated until Matthew finally flicks a cigarette at Travis. The next moment, Travis pulls out his gun and opens fire on him. As Matthew falls to the floor and starts crawling, Travis enters the hotel. He shoots the manager in the hand, but suddenly, the wounded Matthew opens fire from behind. The bullet grazes Travis's neck. He immediately turns around and shoots back. This time, he fires several more shots to make sure Matthew is dead. As Travis heads upstairs looking for Iris, the manager follows him, screaming that he's going to kill him. Hearing all the commotion, a customer who is with Iris comes out and shoots Travis. But Travis pulls out his concealed weapon and shoots the man repeatedly. During his struggle with the manager, Travis drives a knife through the man's hand. Finally, he fires one last shot into the man's head, bringing the entire confrontation to an end. Iris, who has witnessed everything, screams in terror. But Travis says nothing. He picks up his gun and puts it against his own head, pulling the trigger. But the gun is empty. Bleeding heavily from his injuries, Travis collapses onto a nearby couch. When the police finally arrive, he raises his blood-covered finger to his head and, with a smile, mimics the final shot he can no longer fire. We learn what happened afterward through news reports. Travis, who is seriously injured, spends several days unconscious in the hospital. The newspapers portray him as a vigilante hero, a brave man who single-handedly rescued a young girl from a group of dangerous criminals. Iris's parents also write Travis a letter, thanking him for saving their daughter and telling him that he is now considered a hero in their eyes. Although bringing Iris back to her old normal life isn't easy, she has started going to school again. A few months later, Travis returns to driving his taxi, just like before. But now, he has earned a certain amount of respect among the other drivers. While they're talking one night, a passenger gets into his cab. It's Betsy. She has learned everything about what happened through the newspapers. When she asks how Travis's health is, he downplays his injuries, saying they're nothing serious and that he only has a little stiffness left. His heroic story seems to have rekindled Betsy's attraction toward him. Travis is also happy to see her, but neither of them openly says what they're feeling. When Betsy gets out at her destination and tries to pay him, Travis refuses the money and simply says goodbye. There's a smile on his face as he drives the taxi back into the darkness of the night. But something in the rearview mirror suddenly catches his attention. For a brief moment, that old uneasiness returns to his face. And when everything is over, one question remains. Despite the satisfaction Travis seems to have found in that bloody night, has the loneliness that drove him down this path actually disappeared? Perhaps not. And that's where the film leaves Travis, still waiting for the rain that will wash the city clean, or perhaps ready to take that cleansing into his own hands once again. Thank you for watching. Until next time.